Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to do topic 6, that is topic 6 of ecology part, that is climate change, international conventions and global initiatives. So this is today's topic. So first of all, we need to understand what climate change is. Climate change क्या होती है? It means the change of climate which is attributed directly or indirectly by or to human activities that alters the composition of global atmosphere, and which in addition to natural climate variability observed over comparable time periods. So this is how you can define climate change. Climate change is attributed to direct or indirect human activities which alters the composition of global atmosphere. It alters the composition of global atmosphere and adds to natural climate variation. It enhances the climate variation observed on comparable time periods, in big time periods, not for 1 day, 2 days. It happens for decades, years. Climate change has been happening in our world since industrial revolutions. So this is what climate changing. And for example, you can write since 1992 the temperature of climate has been increasing until 2016, which was the warmest year. Every year the temperature is rising. Since 1992 every year has been warmest year. So this is how you can define climate change. Now, how do climate change impacts Indian agriculture? Impact of climate change on Indian agriculture. How climate change impacts Indian agriculture? So extreme heat reductions in water will hamper productivity. Changes in temperature, heat reductions, that will affect our productivity. 50% of Indian agriculture is directly dependent on rainfall or monsoon. So change in climate would lead to change in monsoonal patterns, which will also hamper our productivity. Floods can lead to soil erosion, loss of crops and livestock, and with climate change the floods have become so much frequent. We can see that wheat yields drop by 10% just for 1 degree rise in temperature, and overall crop yield can decrease by 30%. So see how rising of global temperature can affect our Agriculture. There will be rise in weeds, pests, diseases, as they thrive in warmer climate, high temperature, and high CO2 concentrations. Rise in sea level will increase salinity of water. Increase of salinity of water table. Sea level will rise. The salts of the salinity of ocean water will leach into our groundwaters. Soil salinity problem can be seen in coastal areas. So this is how climate change will impact our agriculture, especially Indian agriculture, and how will we mitigate this change. Its mitigation. We need proper management, capacity building, extension services, outreach, and enable faster adoption of climate resilient practices. We need to develop lower external input systems. We need to shift on zero budget natural farming. We need to enhance our carbon sequestration potential, and we need to understand opportunities that gets on offer on conservation agriculture, on conservation of agriculture. So these all things which will help us significantly. First, proper management, extension services, capacity building, outreach, climate resilient practices, low external input system, zero budget natural farming, enhance carbon sequestration, conserve our agriculture. So this is how we will mitigate the harmful effects of climate change. Now moving on, how agriculture impacts on climate change. Agricultural impact on climate, or we can say impact of agriculture on climate change. How does agriculture impact climate change? Agriculture is the major source of greenhouse gas emissions which contribute to climate change. What are greenhouse gases? You can name some common greenhouse gases like CO2, CH4, methane, N2O, nitrous oxide, HFC, hydrofluorocarbons, PFCs, perfluorocarbons, SF6, sulfur hexafluoride, NF3, nitrogen trifluoride, water vapor. So these are common greenhouse gases. You must remember the names of some common greenhouse gases. What they will do in question, they will write list some common greenhouse gases dot and enlist the impact of agriculture on climate change. So they will ask questions like this. So you need to keep the list of names of greenhouse gases. You need to remember those. So as you've said, agriculture is the major source of greenhouse gases. As per IPCC, that is International Panel of Climate Change, agriculture and its allied activities account for 25% of human induced greenhouse gas emissions. 25% of human induced greenhouse gas emissions come from agriculture and allied activities. Agriculture is the main source of CH4 and 2O. Agriculture is considered one of the main reasons for deforestation and global warming. Deforestation as for expansion of agriculture, we cut trees. Livestock sector leads to high emissions of CH4, N2O, CO2, etc. N2O is mainly formed during application of nitrogen fertilizers. Land use changes. Keep making notes. Far more impact land we use to harm unconventional and unsustainable land use practices or land use changes. Fertilizers, pesticides all pollute our water bodies. Monoculture leads to loss of diversity. So you can add these points. Like even they leach to groundwater and make it unfit for drinking. So this is how agriculture impacts climate change. Now moving on, what are some global and international initiatives on climate change? What are some global and international initiatives? First, we can see IPCC, International Climate Panel on Climate Change. This does high research and development relating to global warming. We have got UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It deals with Convention on Biological Diversity, Convention to Combat Desertification, Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. So these are some major conventions of UNFCCC. We have got Kyoto Protocol, reduce GHG emissions. This is the main aim of Kyoto Protocol. We have got REDD and REDD Plus. What is REDD? Reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. Reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. It helps in conservation of forest and other things related to forest capacity building. And we have got Food and Agriculture Organization, which tries to lower the impact of agriculture on climate change by promoting natural farming, organic farming, etc. We have got other organizations like World Bank, Asian Development Bank, etc. do their bit to tackle climate change. In India, we have got ICR, which focuses on improving agriculture research, focuses on organic farming and natural farming. Even with efforts of ICR, many regions of northeast state are now getting high value of their organic farms. Even Sikkim has been declared as first organic state, that is 100% organic state. We have got IARI. There it does also the same functions as ICR. We have got we have got National Institute for Ecology and Climate Change. National Institute for Ecology and Climate Change. We have got NICRA, that is National Innovation on Climate Resilient Agriculture. National Innovation on Climate Resilient Agriculture, which focuses on climate resilient agriculture. So these are some major organizations which deal with climate change. So once Nikra was asked, sorry, just a minute. Once Nikra was asked in the previous year questions, so to discuss Nikra in brief, it is National Innovation on Climate Resilient Agriculture. It was launched by ICAR. Its objectives are strategic research on climate resilient agriculture, technology demonstration to farmers how to use technology to save our climate, and capacity building of scientists, farmers, and other stakeholders involved in agriculture. So how it had helped? Output from Nikra. It has helped in selection of promising crop genotypes, livestock breeds, which have high tolerance to climate stress. It enhances best practices for climate resilient demonstration in 100 vulnerable districts. It enhances climate resilient agriculture demonstrations. Research and development in infrastructure and key institutes in infrastructure related to climate resilient agriculture with the help of key institutes to strengthen the research on climate change and climate resilient agriculture. It enhances or trains in scientific nature to farmers, empowers scientists, empowers farmers, etc. This is how Nikra functions. Hope you all understand it. Now moving on, what are India's efforts towards environmental problems at international level? It was also asked previously. It was asked, I think, a couple of times. India's efforts towards environmental problems at international level. How is India is doing it bit? India ratified UNFCCC in 1993 and Kyoto Protocol in 2002. In June 2008, India announced NAPCC, that is National Action Plan on Climate Change. It helps in planning to enhance our water, renewable energy, agriculture, that is more climate friendly. In 2015 Paris Agreement, India placed some major goals to achieve between 2030, that non-fossil fuel to 40% of electric consumption. Use of non-fossil fuels on 40% of electric consumption. 40% of electric consumption in India will come from non-fossil fuels. To reduce emissions up to 35% by 2030. To create additional carbon sink of 2 to 3 million tons of carbon sink through many programs like forestation programs, etc. Moving on, India adopted electricity plans based on renewable energy. India is one of the founding nations of International Solar Alliance. And government launched FAME, that is faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles to enhance climate, to reduce emissions. So these are some common efforts towards environment and climate change by India. Hope you all understand. Moving on, one more important topic that has been asked several times, that is El Nino. Keep making notes. What is El Nino? El Nino is the warm phase of snow cycle. What is snow cycle? El Nino, Southern Oscillation Cycle. Sorry, it is El Nino, Southern Oscillation Cycle. It happens because of temperature difference in East Central Equatorial Pacific Ocean. It is a natural phenomenon which happens due to periodic warming of oceans. And La Nina, there is also La Nina, that is just opposite of El Nino. Just opposite of El Nino. That is the cold phase of snow cycle. It occurs, El Nino occurs in 2 to 7 years. And with change in climate, it is occurring more frequently. First it was occurred 5, 6, 7 years. Now it is occurring in 2 to 3 years, which is hampering many things. We will discuss next. So what causes El Nino? Cause of El Nino. How El Nino is caused? When there is anomaly in the pattern of westward blowing trade winds, the trade winds blowing west, there is a difference in their pattern, which that is, it weakens up along equator due to many regions which led to signal like change in air pressure. So what happens? This is the North America. Here it is Peru. So what happens is that due to weakening of west blowing trade winds, the water here accumulates in the coast of Peru or the coasts of northern South America, that is eastwards. It moved eastwards to northern South America. And what happens here is that the ocean water warms up. And the sea level temperature is rises over normal temperature. Means over the normal occurrence, the sea level temperature here becomes more, which leads to a rise in temperature, low pressure, that leads to high rainfall in Peruvian coast and droughts in India and Australia. This region in India and Australia, and it creates droughts in India and Australia. So this is what El Nino is. When the west moving trade winds weaken up due to changes in air pressure, what happens? See, this wind is moving from this side. When it weakens up, it couldn't stop the water to pile up eastwards. When it is blowing at high speed, the water couldn't pile up eastward. It moved with the flow of wind. But when it weakens up, the wind mirror of this. When it weakens up, it leads to the pile of warm water in the Peruvian coast or north coast of South America. That's lead to high rainfall in this region, especially as low temperature, high pressure. We know, and high temperature, low pressure, and it creates drought-like situations in India and Australia. That is what El Nino is. Now moving on, what are effects of El Nino? Effects of El Nino on Indian agriculture. First of all, decline in moisture availability, as there is less precipitation, drought-like conditions we have talked earlier, so that leads to decrease in soil moisture availability and increase in soil temperature, which leads to fall in agriculture productivity and also leads to agriculture socio-economic drought, changes cropping pattern as there is change in rainfall pattern, and we know how much Indian agriculture is dependent on rainfall. Delayed sowing and the rainfall is delayed. Profit of farmers is decreased. So all are linking concepts: low soil moisture, low precipitation, low agriculture production, low agriculture productivity. So if there is low agriculture productivity, obviously the profit of agriculture farmers or the profit of farmers will decrease. Overall agriculture activity is affected. Even there is less availability of milk as there is less availability of fodder. There is no fodder crops available. They starve and die because of low water content. It affects 80% of small and marginal farmers, as they are highly dependent on monsoon. Agro industry, fertilizer, and all gets affected because they all are directly linked to agriculture, and no agriculture, no agro industry. Simple. So it also leads to situations like debt trap, suicide of farmers, etc., etc. So these are the major concerns of all Indian agriculture. Hope you all get that. So that is all for today's topic. It was not that much difficult topic. I hope you all understand the concepts, the simple concepts of climate change, greenhouse gases, impact of climate. We have all discussed earlier also. El Nino, Nigra. I think we all understand that. So if you like it, please press the like button. For any queries, comment. I will solve the query as soon as possible. And please subscribe and share. Thank you. That's all for today.